back. We're diving into some seriously juicy productivity tips today. You know, those strategies that'll actually make a difference in 2025, helping you work smarter, not harder.
Absolutely. We're all about making this year your most productive yet, without adding to that feeling of overwhelm we all know too well.
Right. Who needs more stress? So we've got two awesome sources on deck today. 10 productivity hacks that will change your life in 2025 from humans and how to be more productive. 13 tips to practice today, 2025, from Asana.
Both are packed with insights. What we're going to do is pull out the most actionable stuff, those techniques you can actually implement. We'll cover everything from those quick wins, the things you can start doing right away, to some bigger shifts in how you approach your whole workflow.
Sounds good to me. So let's just jump right in, shall we? Procrastination, it's the ultimate productivity killer, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's a universal struggle.
The Humans article jumps right on this with the 2-minute rule. It sounds so simple, but what's the real power behind it?
Well, I think the beauty of the 2-minute rule is that it stops us from overthinking those tiny tasks. You know how as you see a short email that needs a reply, or there's that one thing cluttering your desk and you just keep putting it off?
Oh yeah, totally.
And those little things can actually create so much mental clutter, It's like they take up way more space in our minds than they actually do in real life.
I feel that.
So the idea is if you could do it in under 2 minutes, just do it right then. Don't even think about it.
Yeah, like that email you've been meaning to send, just hit reply and get it done. Or that one item out of place, put it away.
Exactly. And it's amazing how those tiny wins start to add up. You clear your mental space and actually build momentum.
I like that, building momentum.
Each little task you check off, it's like a tiny victory. And all those little victories, they kind of fuel you to tackle the bigger things.
It's so much better than having those little things hanging over your head all day.
Absolutely.
Okay, so now we've got those small tasks under control. What about managing our time for the bigger projects?
Well, both articles have some great strategies for that.
The Humans article talks about time blocking. What is that and why is it so effective?
Time blocking is basically being proactive with your schedule. Instead of just reacting to emails as they pop up or getting pulled into whatever fire needs putting out.
Just so easy to do.
Right. You actually block out specific times for different types of work. So you might have a block for deep, focused work, another for emails, set times for meetings, even time for brainstorming or creative thinking.
I love that. It's like taking control of your day instead of letting it control you.
Exactly. And I think it really helps prevent those days where you feel super busy but haven't actually made progress on the things that really matter.
And it forces you to schedule breaks, which is something I know I'm guilty of neglecting. You can't just work nonstop.
Totally. And that actually leads us to another technique that both articles mention, the Pomodoro technique.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of that one. It's all about those timed intervals, right?
Exactly. So you work in focused bursts of 25 minutes, followed by a short 5-minute break. And then after every 4 Pomodoros, you take a longer break, maybe 15 or 30 minutes.
What makes that so effective, do you think?
Well, for one, it aligns with our natural attention spans. 25 minutes is a manageable chunk of time to stay focused.
Yeah, I can definitely focus for 25 minutes.
Right. And those little breaks, they act like mental resets, They help prevent you from getting mentally fatigued. Plus, I think there's something about knowing you only have 25 minutes that creates a sense of urgency. Like, okay, I got to make the most of this time.
That makes sense. It's like a little internal deadline.
Totally.
Okay, now both articles also talk about the Pareto principle, which is also known as the 80-20 rule. How does that fit into all of this?
The Pareto principle is a super valuable concept. It's the idea that roughly 80% of your results come from just 20% of your efforts.
Okay, so how do we actually use that to be more productive?
Well, when you understand that, you can start to identify those high-impact tasks, the 20% that are really moving the needle, and prioritize them.
Right, so figure out what's really important and focus on that.
Exactly. The Humans article even suggests asking yourself, what's the one thing I could do today that would make everything else easier or unnecessary? It's a great way to figure out where to focus your energy.
I love that question. That's so helpful.
And on the flip side, it means cutting back on those low-value activities that are eating up your time but not really contributing to your goals.
Like maybe those endless meetings that could have been an email.
Exactly. Or tasks that you could delegate or even automate.
Oh, automation is a lifesaver.
It really is. The Asana article also briefly mentions a couple of other interesting techniques, getting things done, or GTD, and eat the frog.
I've heard of those.
They don't go into a ton of detail, but the key takeaway from GTD is capturing all your tasks and commitments in a system, getting them out of your head. And Eat the Frog is all about tackling your most challenging task first thing in the morning.
Get it out of the way.
Yeah, so you can start your day with a sense of accomplishment and build momentum from there.
Okay, so we've got strategies for beating procrastination, managing our time. What about the actual space where we work? The Asana article talks a lot about the importance of simplifying your surroundings.
Yeah, our environment plays a huge role in our ability to focus, even if we don't realize it.
So what can we do to create a more productive workspace?
Well, Asana emphasizes minimizing distractions. So if noise is a problem, noise-canceling headphones can be a game changer.
I love mine.
Right, and making sure you're physically comfortable is huge. A good chair, lumbar support, all those things can make a difference.
No more backaches from hunching over the laptop.
Exactly. And both articles talk about the importance of decluttering, both your physical and digital spaces. The Humans article even has a whole declutter your workspace hack.
Because a cluttered space equals a cluttered mind, right?
It's true. Visual clutter can be super distracting, even if we're not consciously aware of it. And the same goes for our digital workspace. A messy desktop or an overflowing inbox can create that same feeling of overwhelm.
Yeah, it's like you can't even think straight.
Exactly.
Humans also mentions the idea of a digital detox. How can disconnecting from our devices actually boost productivity?
Well, let's face it, all those notifications and the constant lure of social media can really fragment our attention.
It's so easy to get sucked in.
It is. So taking a break from our devices, even for short periods, can be super beneficial. It might mean turning off non-essential notifications, setting specific times to be completely screen-free, maybe in the morning or before bed, even using website blockers to avoid those tempting distractions.
Humans even suggests a no social media before 10 a.m. rule. It's about protecting your most productive time.
That's a great one.
Okay, so let's talk about when we actually do our best work. The Asana article talks about capitalizing on your peak productivity hours. How do you figure out when those are, and then how do you use that to your advantage?
It's all about tuning into your natural energy cycles. Are you a morning person who's super focused first thing?
I wish.
Or do you hit your stride later in the day? Once you know when you're naturally at your best, you can schedule your most demanding tasks for those times. Save those less intense things like answering emails or routine meetings for when you know your energy might dip.
The Humans article calls this the morning power hour. Dedicate that first hour to your most important tasks before even checking email or social media.
Absolutely. It's like front-loading your day with your highest value work.
So we've talked about procrastination, time management, our environment, and even when we work best. Let's dive into the work itself. Both of these articles talk about the importance of focused work. Asana even specifically says to avoid multitasking. Why is that so crucial?
You know, our brains aren't actually designed to multitask effectively.
Oh, tell me about it.
When we try to do multiple things at once, what we're really doing is rapidly switching our attention back and forth. And all that switching comes at a cost. It slows us down, makes us more prone to errors, and the quality of our work just suffers.
So what can we do to actually focus on one thing at a time and get into that flow state that Asana mentions?
Well, minimizing distractions is key, like we talked about. Put your phone on silent, close unnecessary tabs, let people know you need uninterrupted time. Asana also suggests taking care of your basic needs beforehand so you're not getting up every 5 minutes for a snack or a drink.
Makes sense.
Some people find that listening to calming music can help too. And even adding a little bit of enjoyment to those more routine tasks can make it easier to stay focused.
Like listening to your favorite podcast while you do the dishes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Humans article also talks about batching similar tasks. Have you ever heard of that?
I think so.
So even switching between tasks that seem similar can disrupt our flow. Batching is about grouping similar tasks together and doing them all at once. So instead of checking email constantly, you designate specific times to process all your emails.
Makes sense.
And you can do the same thing for other tasks, like making phone calls or doing paperwork.
So it's all about reducing those mental transitions.
Exactly.
Okay, so once we're in that focused state, how do we make sure we're actually working on the right things? Asana talks about prioritizing important work, but how do we even know what's really important?
It comes back to connecting your daily tasks to your bigger goals, whether those are team goals, company goals, or even personal goals.
So like, how does what I'm doing today actually contribute to the bigger picture?
Exactly. When you have that clear connection, it gives you a sense of purpose, which can be super motivating, and it helps you prioritize. Asana even mentions research showing that team members who understand how their work contributes to the bigger picture are much more motivated.
That makes a lot of sense. And of course, to stay focused on those top priorities, we need to manage those distractions. Asana talks about cutting down on notifications. What are your best tips for taming that notification beast?
Those constant pings and buzzes can be so distracting. I like to use features like snooze or do not disturb so I can have blocks of uninterrupted time without completely disconnecting.
Yeah, you don't want to miss anything important.
Exactly. It's about being intentional with those interruptions.
Asana also talks about integrating business tools as a way to boost productivity. Can you explain what they mean by that?
Sure. These days, we're all using so many different apps and platforms for work: email, chat, project management software, file sharing.
Oh, yeah, it can be overwhelming.
It really can. And constantly switching between those different platforms eats up so much time and mental energy.
Just trying to keep track of everything.
Right. So integrating those tools, ideally into one central platform, can streamline your workflow. No more data silos, no more wasted time searching for information.
So you're not constantly context switching.
Exactly.
Now, another tech tip from Asana is automating manual work. What kinds of tasks can we typically automate to free up our time?
It's about those repetitive, predictable tasks that we do all the time. Things like routing requests, sending updates, even scheduling meetings. There are tons of tools and integrations out there that can automate those things, which frees you up to focus on the work that really requires your unique skills and attention.
I love that.
It's a game changer.
Now, sometimes being productive isn't just about doing more. It's also about knowing when to say no. Asana has a whole section on this.
And that can be really tough for some people.
Oh, I know. I'm a people pleaser, so it's hard for me.
But it's so important because when we overcommit ourselves, we end up feeling overwhelmed, stressed, and ultimately our work suffers.
Any tips for saying no effectively?
Asana suggests a few things. Having clear processes for managing scope creep, like change control, using intake forms to manage incoming requests, being very upfront about your current workload and priorities, and sometimes even just saying not right now can be a way to defer a request without saying a hard no.
That's really helpful. Okay, so what about setting ourselves up for a productive day? Asana recommends taking some time at the end of the workday to triage your tasks for the next day.
I love that tip. Just spending 10 or 15 minutes to review what you accomplished, identify your top priorities for tomorrow, even jot down a few starting points can make a huge difference.
So you hit the ground running in the morning.
Exactly. Instead of feeling overwhelmed, you've got a clear plan of attack.
For those working on teams, Asana also emphasizes increasing team clarity. How does that play into productivity?
When everyone on the team is on the same page, it eliminates so much wasted time and energy. No more chasing down information, no more clarifying expectations.
So fewer misunderstandings and miscommunications.
Exactly. Having a central platform or system to track work, as Asana suggests, can be a game changer for team productivity.
We can't talk about productivity without talking about well-being, right? The Humans article really stresses sleep optimization.
Sleep is absolutely essential for productivity. When we're sleep deprived, everything suffers. Our focus, our decision-making, our energy levels.
It's true. I'm definitely not at my best when I'm running on fumes.
Nobody is. Aim for 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night and try to establish a relaxing bedtime routine.
And put those screens away.
Absolutely.
Finally, Humans concludes with the importance of continuous learning. How does that fit into the productivity picture?
Well, in today's world, things are constantly changing.
If you're not learning, you're falling behind.
Exactly. Continuous learning, whether it's reading industry articles, listening to podcasts like this one, taking courses, it helps you stay up to date, learn new skills, and discover better ways of working.
Awesome. So to sum it all up, productivity in 2025 is about working smarter, not harder.
It's about focus, intention, and making the most of your time and energy.
Exactly. And it's about prioritizing your well-being and making sure you're taking care of yourself, too.
Because you can't pour from an empty cup.
So as we wrap up, we want to leave you with this. What's one small change you can make today that you think could have a big impact on your productivity this week? Experiment, see what works for you, and remember, you've got this.
You absolutely do.
Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, and we'll see you next time.